Welcome to Elon Beyond the Bricks, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of Elon University to explore the stories, ideas, and innovations shaping our community. Each episode will talk to individuals who are making a difference in the world and explore the values and experiences that make Elon so special. We hope you'll find stories that inspire and challenge you, and perhaps even spark new ideas of your own. Join us as we dive into conversations that go beyond the classroom and into the lives of our remarkable students, alumni, parents, faculty, and staff. Thanks for joining.
Hello and welcome to Elon Beyond the Bricks. I'm your host, President Connie Book, and I'm here today joined by Wyn Ferrell, a 2009 graduate of Elon. Wyn came to Elon planning a career in finance from Connecticut, I think. Is that your home state?
Correct. Yep.
And then his path changed at Elon. It took a creative turn, leading him to the world of distilled spirits. In 2011, he and his business partners launched Mile High Spirits. That's the MHS that you see above his head in the picture right there. And they had a bold vision to create a craft distillery that not only produced exceptional spirits, but also built strong community connections. And they're out in Colorado, so I'm excited to hear more from Wyn today about his journey. So welcome, Wyn. Thanks for taking time.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here. I look forward to having a conversation.
And I have to say, Wyn has been a very engaged alum over the years. He's been good to Elon and shipped me some of his Mile High bourbon, which is being processed right behind him, and has just been great. So I'm really excited today to have this conversation. So one of the goals of this podcast, Wyn, is to really connect the dots between the Elon experience and life after Elon for our alums. And I'm curious, tell me about why you came to Elon, and then what shifted in your trajectory from being a finance guy to a distillery guy?
Yeah. So why did I end up at Elon? Well, my family is from Virginia. Both my mom and dad are born and raised in Richmond. And my mom went to UNC. My dad went to Hampden-Sydney. They both moved to New York City. The kind of the only people in their family to leave the state. And they always encouraged us to go wherever we wanted and to branch out and not necessarily stay in New England. So my sister went to Wake Forest, and I went down to visit her and ended up applying there and Elon. And my sister had a very honest conversation with me and said, I know you've loved coming to visit me at Wake Forest, but I think Elon is really the perfect fit for you. I don't know if she just didn't want to have that overlapping year with me or what, but either way, I heeded her advice, and I have no regrets, that's for sure. Only appreciation for everything that Elon taught me along the way. And I went to Elon coming from Connecticut. My dad owned a hedge fund growing up and often would talk about how when he graduated college and worked for Citi that he was doing these big municipal bonds and all these deals. And I started working in finance while I was at Elon, getting my degree in business administration. I started at UBS in Greensboro, and I very quickly realized I don't know if entry level people are doing any of these fun deals that I grew up learning about. So I worked for FactSet Research Systems after. In New York City, and I just kind of thought, maybe it's New York, maybe it's being in a finance hub. That's not for me. So I tried Denver, ended up working for a company selling mortgage-backed securities in 2009, which was a very tough sell after it created kind of the recession and mortgage crisis. And that's when I started to look elsewhere. I mean, noticing that I wasn't really able to use any of my creative side in finance. It's very rigid and structured. You do what you're told to do, especially at the entry level. So I started in sales for a distillery. I went in and asked for a job, and they were very frank and said, "We're going out of business. We can't pay you." And I said, "Well, then don't pay me. And how about I bring in money and you just pay me a commission? I have another job and I've worked in finance for a couple years now. I'll take this on and see what we can come up with." So long story short, I ended up being owed a lot of money from this person. So I took a still much smaller than that, about a 16th of the size, a hand bottler and a fermenter in lieu of what I was owed. And that is what changed my trajectory forever. I
And you
started
learned you
create.
learned how to distill it. Like you learn it's a science, right? It's a
Absolutely. Yeah. So I brought over with me my business partner, Joe, who had a background in both home brewing and distilling. And he had been hired at that new company. And I just said, "Hey, this place isn't doing so well. I think we should split off and we're owed X and we should take this equipment." And I created a website called createyourownvodka.com. I mean, I was 22, 23 years old at this time. So I didn't want to enter the $14 billion industry as somebody with a brand. I wanted to produce for people that felt like they had what it took to enter the industry. So I did a lot of private label, launched about 60 to 70 brands to market before deciding that, hey, maybe we should open our own location, really start building our own community, and becoming a part of the Denver and Colorado landscape nationwide.
it's really interesting because I would say distilled alcohol has had a really interesting 8 to 10 year journey. And I was reading an article about some valuation and sales of family distilleries over the last, decade. It's quite remarkable, the valuation and it became a pastime for America, right? Drinking great, and not that it's a new sector, right? As to your point,
Right.
when is the first evidence of distilling alcohol? It's got to be thousands
Over
yeah.
1,000, 1,500 years probably. I mean, they've been malting grain for that long, so I would think,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
old.
been
But it has also come under, right. It's been in a really fluid situation post COVID, right? I've been
absolutely.
reading, yeah. So it's an fascinating sector. I suspect that mortgage experience helped you in 2009.
Absolutely. Yes. No, yeah. 2009 definitely marked a big upswing era for alcohol and the return of bourbon. Bourbon had traditionally, for my parents' generation, the boomer generation, it was their parents' drink. And their generation made popular flavored vodkas, however many you can make. We'll try them all. We love them all. And kind of the birth of large corporate brands like Grey Goose and Belvedere and Stoli and Three Olives. And this next generation really latched onto craft. Obviously, beer was a big part of that, kind of setting the stage. And then people said, well, there's a lot more to explore in whiskey. There's a lot more nuance between manufacturer. Vodka is odorless, tasteless, neutral alcohol. Bourbon is not. So whiskey started to see a huge upswing. Something that we definitely leaned into as we make about 3 barrels of whiskey a day here. And that is our primary passion. Yeah, so some other things took a back seat, and then what we saw after bourbon was tequila. Tequila is the first spirit category to really take on vodka's market share. I mean, whiskey sure made a dent, but tequila is actually taking over, which is a really interesting metric. And to your point, post-COVID, going into COVID, liquor stores became essential businesses. Nobody saw that coming. And coming out of COVID, people had stimulus checks, people had been cooped up. There was an explosion in the bar and nightlife scene. Where I'm sitting right now is a stage where we've hosted everybody from Ludacris and CeeLo to bluegrass and jam bands and all of that. But and post COVID was great. But then after that is when things really settled in. People started to run out of money and money became really tight. And this next generation either isn't drinking or it's much harder to have disposable income at their age. I know entering the job market in 2009 was far from ideal, but I still truly believe that an entry level job position afforded more free cash than in current times with groceries, rent, and everything else. Yeah, I mean, I do think that a health conscious generation is a real thing, but I also think that financial stress is leading a lot of the behavior.
It's interesting. Elon has about 1,500 employees. And when I go to the grocery store, I feel that same pressure. Like I look at the prices of things and I think, oh, think about our employees and what they're faced with and the buying choices. And I do feel so many sectors right now are in flux, right? And including higher education in flux. It's in the news. I've read
Absolutely.
about distillery news, but I read about higher ed news as well. And our business model really disrupted. And when you think about disrupted business models, and you use the word creative, that when you were at UBS, you weren't getting to work on those creative bonds and deals. Tell me how creativity plays a part in the way you lead at Mile High.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I mean, always leading with respect and understanding that other people can offer amazing insight better than my own. That's something that I do not think really exists in the hierarchy of finance. And letting my staff direct things and letting us grow our cocktail program to staff picking out things for infusions, to infusions doing well enough to where we bottle and package and sell them, and then they start traveling to Chicago and seeing it on a bar menu in Chicago, and I just stand back and say that was all you.
Yeah.
And that, like, my creativity comes from everybody else around me. um and I think, I think being able to empower employees is one of my favorite aspects of being a business owner. And then I get to express some of my own creativity as well. So when we first moved into this space, we didn't have the budget for furniture. So I just said, okay, I'll build all of our furniture. So I bought my first welder. I learned how to weld off of a YouTube video. I built furniture. Then I built the stage I'm on. Then I built our bar. And I've gotten to do a lot of very hands-on tactile things. I've built tanks and vessels and stills and yeah, just things that can help us streamline production. And I've gotten to know machinery and equipment and fiber optic and pneumatic controls. What I love is that I can always overload my plate with more to learn as a business owner. I think that that's something I thrive on. I never sit stagnant and I always need more. And all of that might stem from creativity, I guess. Yeah.
It is good. It's powerful to know. And I always say this to students, that we can learn something new and it can change our lives. That we have the capacity as human beings to learn something new, like building furniture and distilling vodka, that can change the path of our life. And even I just turned 60. And I'm like, I'm so grateful that I can still learn something new, like this lifelong learning, and that being excited about it. And I love what you said about the humility of letting the wisdom come from the team.
Yes,
That
you're never too old to
empowering.
learn from a younger person.
Yeah, yeah. And they can see
That's
things
for sure.
differently. Like, I'm around young people a lot. They see things differently, and we can all learn from it.
I
From
think
that
there's a beauty
insight.
to what a 20-something-year-old sees. I
Yeah.
was able to see very profitable things laid out right in front of me that come my 30s, you just don't see as well anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a very interesting part of one's life.
So, one of the things that they told me you say is an expression that you don't spread yourself a mile wide and an inch deep. You spread yourself an inch wide and a mile deep. So, tell me how that philosophy took shape. When did you start that, and how does it impact your work?
Yeah, so a lot of that came from when I was doing private label development, and I was watching all of these brands pick up states like something to celebrate. Oh my gosh, now I'm in Arizona. Now I'm in California. Now I'm in Texas. And I'm just sitting back like, this seems like a completely unmanageable amount of work to now do. And that became a big premise of or pillar of our company is when we enter a market, We want to go an inch wide and a mile deep. We want to hit the same neighborhoods every time. I want to be the owner that said, I'll be back in 2 months to every account, and came back in 2 months to every account. So that, like, on our go-to-market strategy, that's a big part of it, but also with company culture and all of that. I don't want to have a huge hierarchy of managers and things like that. I want to have it be really simple. I want to know what's going on. I want to talk to people at every level, whether you're a bathroom attendant on a busy night or my head distiller who I meet with every week. I need to know everything about everybody, and that's just a huge part of how I run my business. And yeah, and I think Elon teaches a lot about working together as groups, and I think that that's lost on a lot of people. And I do think that is a big part of that statement, is like you can't go a mile deep if you aren't wholly in touch with what everybody's doing, and you're a contributing part of what's going on.
Yeah, it takes a lot of curiosity, right? And interest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you have to keep asking questions. I do say I lead by asking questions because I'm curious, right?
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite philosophy is do as I say, not as I do. I've always hated that. I'm like, no, we're all going to do everything together. And that's how we're all going to know exactly
And
what's going on.
I'm sure I like getting questions. Like I like when people ask me questions too. Like it's an exchange of information. Yeah.
Challenge me all you want. Let's go.
So, from Mile High 1.0 to a grand reopening this year, right? So tell me how you evolved this year. I'm curious about what the reinvention was and how you went about it.
Yeah, I mean, creating Mile High Spirits was definitely the passion of Wyn Ferrell at 22, 23 years old. It was a nightclub, and at night, kind of this interesting duality of our space of being a cocktail lounge by day and nightclub at night. And we had an amazing 12-year run with that model, but I started to not enjoy coming to my own place as much, and started to realize, maybe it's time. When we had a 3-year whiskey, sure, let's all party and drink. But now we're coming out with 7, 8, 9-year-old bourbons, and we're winning double gold at San Francisco Spirits Awards year after year, and we're receiving all these accolades. And I just said, there's something not right here. We need to boil this down to a place now for people that are looking for more high-end spirits and more touch points on cocktails. So we closed down, we painted some walls, updated furniture. I built a bunch of new furniture, a host stand and bottle display and things like that. So yeah, getting to reopen as Denver's kind of matured as well. Denver's definitely a millennial city. A lot of millennials moved here, made it what it was, and started to age out of the very concepts that they were supporting. So that's a big part of Mile High all along. I wouldn't even call it 2.0. It's probably 3 or 4.0 at this point. We're always changing. We're always seeing what's going on in the city. We're not just a stagnant concept because we care about what the community wants. We listen, we field feedback, and we make changes.
So Elon has a full-time recruiter now in Denver, admissions team. Yeah. And we've seen, because we have had more Colorado, we're seeing more move back to the space. I do think it's interesting because when our long-term employees will say that the reason they've stayed at Elon is that every 10 years, it's a new Elon. It's because we're doing these 10-year strategic plans. So it is the same kind of refresh that you're describing. What I love about what you did was it was intentional. You said
always,
okay, we can't. It didn't happen by chance. You said we have to reset this,
and I always want to change before it's like needed. Like do it as a reaction to be at the forefront of something, not in the tail end. Yeah, and speaking of Elon's change, I mean, I know the 4 years I was there. Oh my gosh, unbelievable! From the business school to, really. So much, and now my dorms are gone. No more Moffat or Staley.
Constantly evolving, and
it's great. It's awesome to see. Whenever I go back, I'm always honored to have been a graduate of Elon.
That's great. And this, you're wanting to win a James Beard Award for a mile
for
high
cocktails.
cocktail? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to have lofty goals.
I do agree. Putting a vision out there about what you want. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like we're at the point, I'm very grateful. It's like every time we submit spirits to a competition, we win the top award. And it's like
Right.
our cocktails should be doing the same. Like, it's kind of bringing everything up to the par of what we're producing right behind me.
Yeah, very nice. And I didn't realize that James Beard. I knew they had restaurants, but they also have,
Yeah, it's fairly
cocktails.
new.
Yeah.
Yeah, fairly
Okay,
new.
they've added cocktails to the list.
Yeah.
I want to tell you about a real quick what conversation I had. So 2 weeks ago, I had lunch with the man who founded Bank of America. His name is Hugh McCall. He's 90 years old. He's from Bennettsville, South Carolina, a really small town. And he worked at a bank in Charlotte and then realized he wanted the bank to be, so it couldn't fail. He wanted to create a bank that wouldn't fail. So in his lifetime, he completed over 1,000 mergers to create Bank of America. And he's sharp as a tack. He's 90 years old, but he said something to me that sounds a lot about like what you're describing about Mile High Spirits. So that's what's prompting me to tell you this story. He said that in his lifetime, the most meaningful organizations have 3 R's. They are relevant, they have a good reputation, and when you engage with that organization or their products, there is a high reward.
Love that.
And
Yeah.
so he calls it these 3 R's. And he says if you start to sag in any one of the R's, it forces them all down. So if you lose your relevance, then that's going to, diminish your reputation, diminish your reward. Yeah. So he uses
That's
these
interesting.
3 R's
And all 3 of those are very contingent on people. And I think people are your foundation of everything you do that get to the 3 R's that you were just talking about. It's the people you're hiring, the company culture you're building. Obviously your product for reward has to be good, but great service and good people create a high reward as well.
Yeah, and your reset is a lot about relevance, right? Like
Yes.
continuing to create a relevant experience around your product and doing that.
Yeah, listening to feedback, understanding what staff and customers are saying and wanting, and making the changes before they even know that they said that they wanted them.
Yeah. It's really I can see those 3 R's at work in your efforts there. Well, I want to thank you. It's been a lot of fun. I love the visual that you. Thank you for setting up your video so we could see that distillery behind you at work.
Yeah.
And it's been great to have a chance to visit with you, Wyn.
Awesome. It's been lovely chatting.
Take care.
All right, you as well. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Elon Beyond the Bricks. Please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode, and leave a review to help others discover the conversations that matter. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.